This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Well, joining us today is David Lenigas, the CEO of Vinanz PLC. Thank you very much for joining us today. David, how are you?
I'm very good, Mark. Happy New Year.
Indeed, Happy New Year to you too. Of course, we spoke before Christmas there. I remember you were talking about getting those 170 extra miners spinning up and doubling the petahash, the rate that you can actually achieve there. So first of all, how did that all go? How are the miners spinning and what do you want to achieve throughout the course of Q1, let's say?
Yeah, no, everything's going very well. We're just working with our Bitcoin machine people in the States on speeding up the machines with our Luxor relationship. We're going to put a lot of the machines into overdrive as we're coming up to the halving. But no, 2023 was a brilliant year for us. We listed in April at 3p a share. We closed the year at sort of circa 8p bid, 9p offer. The Bitcoin price when we listed was 20,000. The Bitcoin price now is 45,000, and there's a lot of talk, particularly out of the States and even out of the big news networks and business programs in the States, that we're going to see a phenomenal year for Bitcoin liquidity and pricing in 2024. So we're really excited about where we're going to see Vinanz in 2024.
Okay, and of course that halving is coming up as well. What's the word or the word on the street, let's say, about where the Bitcoin price is perhaps heading?
Look, you've got predictions from anything from sort of $60,000 to $200,000 a coin. One thing's for certain is every time there's been a halving, you have a significant increase in the Bitcoin price. There's been 19.5 million out of the 21 million Bitcoins mined to date. There'll be 900 Bitcoins available today. That'll drop to 450 Bitcoin a day, when the halving comes. But I think more importantly, you're starting to see it become mainstream. I was just watching something on CNBC Business from last night, and they're saying, a year or two, people were sort of still very quite dubious about the concept of Bitcoin. But when you get CNBC Business in New York saying that Bitcoin's here to stay, you've got BlackRock, you've got Van Eck, you've got a whole lot of really big institutional groups looking at making Bitcoin mainstream by launching their own ETFs, which they've got submissions in with the US SEC. If that happens in the coming weeks, then I think you'll see Bitcoin well through $60,000 to $70,000 US in the coming weeks. And when the halving happens, I can well see plus $100,000 US.
Okay. And how many would you like to have a certain amount of miners up and spinning before that halving?
Well, look, if we look at where we went last year, we started as an operating company with a mere 20 Bitcoin machines operating in Nebraska. We've now grown that to 300 Bitcoins, Bitcoin miners operating in the States and Canada. Our ambition is to get to thousands of machines operating through a number of data centers in the United States and Canada for 2024. And that's really going to be our main focus. I'd like to be in a position come the end of this year that we're mining at least a Bitcoin every day.
At least a Bitcoin every day. Do you know what you're doing at the moment or what your petahashes at the moment?
We're mining a Bitcoin around about every sort of 10 to 12 days.
Okay.
When we sort of supercharge the units that we've got operating in Canada, over the coming week to couple of weeks, I'd like to sort of see that drop down to a Bitcoin every sub 10 days. But we'd like to double to triple our fleet of Bitcoin miners in the States between here and the halving in April.
Okay. And of course, you're listed on the Aquis exchange, aren't you? But you recently got the OTCQB listings. How is that going? There's not much liquidity at the moment, from what I can tell.
No, there isn't a lot of liquidity at the moment, but there's two sides to getting OTCQB. One is to actually go through the hoops of becoming into the regulated side of the OTC markets, which we are, which is OTCQB. And the other part is to get DTC organised for the States. DTC is like Crest in the UK, and a lot of the brokers and international brokers can't really trade OTC QB or QX unless you're DTC eligible, and there's a big push from management to get ourselves DTC'd within the coming weeks. And then once we've got that, Jeremy Edelman and myself plan to do a number of promote trips to New York with some very sort of sophisticated Bitcoin people, the people who are behind Argo blockchain's initial success.
Okay.
And really sort of go and tell the story in the States and see if we can get the liquidity moving there.
And in terms of where most of these miners are located, this is in Labrador. I know you're getting the power there from Quebec Hydro. What's the situation at the moment with regards to the energy prices and the prices that you're getting as a company? Because I had heard that perhaps the region was going to put the prices up from sort of March this year.
Look, power utilities are always playing with their prices, but Block Labs, who are our data center that hosts a lot of our machines in Canada, we have a 3-year fixed price contract with them. In fact, it's a variable price depending on the number of miners we have spinning and the amount of megawatt we consume through Block Labs. So at the moment, we're now running it over a megawatt of power with our miners in Labrador, and that kicked us into the sub 6 cents US per kilowatt hour. If we go and put more miners in with Block Labs into a number of their facilities in Labrador, which we're looking at for 2024, we may even get down to 2.5 cents a unit US. So our prices are pretty much fixed with them for a full 3-year contract. So we're quite happy with the fact that our prices won't change much.
Okay, so it's fixed with Block Labs, who are a wholesale energy provider.
Correct.
Okay.
A wholesale energy consumer from Quebec Hydro.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And if I can just finish up by asking perhaps I don't think we've talked about this before really, but if you were to say to potential investors, you've got your Aquis listing there, you've got your OTCQB listing, you want to get on the road and sort of tell the story in the United States, what message will you be giving to shareholders? Why should they invest or consider investing in Vinanz? What's the win? What's the thing they can get excited about?
Okay, so really we're a proxy for people who are interested in holding Bitcoin. So if you want to hold Bitcoin, you can set your own wallet up, you can buy Bitcoin, you can trade Bitcoin. What we really offer is exposure for UK participants, because we're UK listed at the moment, to buy into Bitcoin mining. There are only 2 players in London at the moment. One is Argo Blockchain, which has got significant amounts of debt on its balance sheet. And then there's us, which is debt-free. So there are only 2 Bitcoin players. Aquis is also tax-free from a capital gains perspective, Aquis and AMR. So it gives punters the ability to sort of look at the tax side of their investments there as well. With respect to the US, we are a US-operated entity. We're BVI. We operate in the US. We just happen to be listed here. Our currency we operate is in US dollars. And I think the US will see the UK participants in the Bitcoin mining sector as significantly undervalued. Okay. That's why Coincilium, that's why KR1, that's why Argo Blockchain really went into the stratosphere when their dual listings kicked in the United States. So we're really the conduit for small retail who want to go and play directly into the Bitcoin mining sector.
Okay, so it's liquidity sort of through the stock market into Bitcoin mining rather than holding Bitcoin yourself purely on a price basis. Yeah,
and we offer leverage on how we put together the whole business model. So that's for punters to choose. Do they want to go and set up their own wallet and go and trade their own Bitcoin? Do they want to try and mine Bitcoin themselves? Our role as Vinanz is to mine Bitcoin as cheaply as possible, and that's really our main focus. So, we're quite happy with the way the business model is rolling out for us at the moment.
Okay. Well, David Lenigas, the chairman of Vinanz PLC, thank you very much for your time.
Great. Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.